How Alan Watts proves reality is a mind-created illusion. Have you ever asked yourself if what you see, hear, and touch is truly real, or just a dream you forgot you were dreaming? Imagine this. You're sitting on your couch, scrolling through videos, and suddenly, I tell you that everything you've ever known, your job, your family, your memories, might be nothing more than a vivid hallucination created by your own mind. Sounds insane, right? But this is exactly where we're going, and we're taking our lead from one of the most electrifying philosophers of the 20th century, Alan Watts. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another deep-sounding rabbit hole with no exit, let me assure you, by the end of this journey, you'll look at the world so differently that even the color of your shirt might seem like it's whispering a secret you missed your whole life. Alan Watts had a way of speaking that felt like he was peeling back the curtain of the universe with a grin. He didn't just analyze philosophy, he lived it, danced with it, sang it into your bones. He brought together Eastern mysticism and Western reason like two halves of a puzzle that were never supposed to fit, but somehow did. And one of his most staggering ideas was this: reality is not something out there that we observe. Reality is something we create through observation itself, not metaphorically, literally.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Let's start right at the heart of his idea. Watts said that we do not come into this world, we come out of it, like a wave comes out of the ocean. We are not strangers here, we are not aliens dropped into existence, we are existence. But here's where things get wild. If we are reality, then who is observing it? If we are the wave and the ocean at once, where does the observer sit? This is where Watts invites us to question the biggest assumption of all. The assumption that there's a separate you in your head watching the world like a movie. You've probably felt this way your whole life. I'm in here and the world is out there. But have you ever actually found that you? When you close your eyes and try to locate the self, is there anything you can touch or see, or is it more like chasing a shadow in the dark? So what if, and hear me out, what if that separation never existed? What if the idea that you're separate from the world is the original illusion, the root of all fear, all anxiety, all suffering? Watts argued that this illusion is maintained not by facts, but by a trick of language and thought. We name things. We say tree, sky, sun, and then we say me, as if me is as stable and solid as the ground beneath your feet. But is it? Think about a rainbow. It's real, you can see it, but it has no location, no substance. It only exists because of your perspective. If you move, the rainbow moves. If you blink, it disappears. Now, Alan Watts would say, that's exactly what your sense of self is like. It's not a fixed point. It's a pattern, a process, a happening, not a thing. And that leads us to the first major crack in the foundation of reality. If our self is just a mental pattern, what does that say about the rest of the world we perceive? Because every bit of it, colors, sounds, objects, is interpreted by this mind. It's not just that the brain filters reality, the brain creates it. Your mind isn't just watching the movie of life, it's the director, the screen, and the projector. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a dream that felt realer than reality? The ones where you wake up and for a few seconds you're sure you're still inside it. In those moments, What makes you believe this isn't another dream layered on top of an even deeper one? Watts used to say, to wake up is to realize that the dream doesn't end when your eyes open, it just changes form. And here's where it gets even more mind-bending. Science is now catching up to what Watts intuited decades ago. Neuroscience tells us that the brain doesn't receive reality like a camera, it constructs it. Your eyes see wavelengths, your ears hear vibrations, your brain interprets them into color, music, and meaning. The red of a rose isn't in the rose, it's in you. So where does the rose end and you begin? This is not just a thought experiment. This has immense implications for how we live. If the world is something we're co-creating with our mind, then what are we choosing to create? Are we building a world of fear, stress, and scarcity because we believe that's what's real? Or can we start to imagine that the limitations we see aren't the boundaries of the world, but the edges of our dream? Watts believed that when you truly see this, when you feel it in your bones, you stop trying to control life like a machine. You start to dance with it, because if reality is a dream, it's not a trap. It's a playground. But only if you know you're dreaming. So, I want to leave you with this question before we go deeper in the next section. If everything you experience is filtered through your mind, then who exactly is the one doing the filtering? And can that filter ever see itself clearly? The grand illusion of the separate self. Why you're not who you think you are. Let's take a step deeper now. If Alan Watts is right and reality is a mind-created illusion, then the most persistent illusion of all is the one we call the self. The idea that you are a fixed, separate individual, independent from the world around you, is perhaps the grandest trick the mind has ever played on itself. We grow up believing in this I as if it were a captain in the brain, steering the ship of the body, making decisions, pulling levers, and reacting to an external world. But what if that captain doesn't exist? Alan Watts often said that the ego, the sense of I as a separate entity, is not something real but a social convention, a symbol mistaken for reality. It's like confusing a map for the territory. The word fire won't burn you, and the word self doesn't actually exist as a thing you can find or touch. It's a useful concept, yes. It helps us navigate the world, define ourselves in relation to others, and label our experiences. But the danger comes when we start to believe that this concept is realer than the experiences themselves. We start to live from the ego, not just with it. And in doing so, we cut ourselves off from the very life we're trying to understand. Think about this. When you look at a tree, you don't say, that tree is separate from the earth. You intuitively know the tree is part of the soil, the air, the sun. It's an expression of the environment. So why don't we see ourselves the same way? Why do we believe we are in the world but not of it? Watts said, you didn't come into this world, you came out of it. Just like a wave comes out of the ocean. The wave isn't separate from the ocean, it is the ocean just in a different form. And so are you. But here's the twist. The illusion of separateness is not an accident, it's a necessary part of the game. Imagine trying to play hide and seek with yourself. You can't win unless you forget you were hiding in the first place. That's what life is doing. The universe, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it's playing hide and seek with itself. It has hidden itself in the illusion of individuality, of ego, of me and mine. And the goal isn't to destroy the ego or escape it, it's to see through it, to realize it's just a mask, a character in a play, and to enjoy the drama because you know it's not ultimately real. Now, how do we begin to see through this illusion? Start by noticing how much of your identity is built on memory and projection. You think you are your past, your name, your achievements, your failures, but those are just stories the mind tells to keep the illusion alive. In the present moment, in actuality, you're just awareness, raw, open, spacious awareness. The thoughts that say, I am this or I am that, are just passing clouds. The awareness watching them, that's the sky, and the sky doesn't care what clouds pass through it. This realization can be terrifying at first. If I am not me, then who am I? But Watts would tell you, that's the wrong question. The better question is, what is this moment when I stop trying to be somebody? When I stop holding on to the illusion of control? Because in that silence, you begin to feel something ancient, something vast, a presence that isn't personal or limited. It's not you in the egoic sense, it's something deeper. Some call it consciousness, some call it God. Watts just called it the happening. And here's the most liberating part. When you stop clinging to this illusion of a separate self, life starts to flow. You stop resisting pain because it's not your pain. You stop chasing pleasure because you realize you're already whole. You start to live not as a frightened little self defending its territory, but as an expression of life itself, free, spontaneous, alive. So let me ask you this, and I want you to take it seriously. If the self is a story, a mental construct, then who or what is hearing this sentence right now? Who is watching your thoughts when you meditate? Is it possible that what you truly are has no name, no face, no boundary, just awareness itself, dreaming it's a person? The mind as the architect of reality, why the world changes when your thoughts do. Now that we've begun to strip away the illusion of a separate self, we arrive at an even more astonishing realization. Not only is the you believe in a mental construct, but so is the world you think you inhabit. Alan Watts didn't just suggest that the self is an illusion. He went further and claimed that the world itself, as we perceive it, is shaped entirely by the mind. This may sound like a bold claim, even absurd, but let's walk through it together, logically and experientially. Everything you have ever known has been filtered through your consciousness. Every color you've seen, every sound you've heard, every object you've touched. None of these things exist in the same way outside of you as they do for you. Your eyes don't see color, they detect electromagnetic wavelength. Your ears don't hear music, they detect vibrations in the air. Your skin doesn't feel heat, it senses molecular motion. It is your brain, your mind, that takes all this raw, chaotic data and interprets it into something meaningful. Red apples, warm sunlight, the voice of someone you love. So what does this mean? It means the world you walk through each day is not the world as it is. It's the world as it is for you. You are not a passive observer. You are an active creator. Your expectations, your memories, your beliefs, they all shape what you see. Two people can walk through the same forest. One sees a place of deep peace and beauty, the other sees a place of danger and darkness. The forest didn't change, their minds did. Watts often spoke about this in terms of the game. Life, he said, is a game of hide and seek, where the ultimate reality, call it the Tao, the Self, God, hides behind the illusion of form, of things, of events. But here's the kicker. The game only works if you forget that it's a game, and that forgetting happens through identification. You identify with your body, your name, your culture, your beliefs, and then you start to see a world that matches those identifications. You create from within without realizing it. You are dreaming and you think it's real. But try this. The next time something upsetting happens, pause and notice how much of your reaction is based on interpretation. Is the event itself causing your pain, or is your thinking about the event, the story you instantly wrote about what it means, what's truly making you suffer? And if that's the case, then what happens when you change the story? What happens when you redefine what something means? Suddenly your entire experience shifts, not because the outer world changed, but because your inner world did. The dream bent to the dreamer. This is the real power Watts was pointing to. The world is not some fixed, objective stage where you play a role. It's a mirror reflecting your own consciousness back at you. When you are fearful, the world seems threatening. When you are open, the world seems full of opportunity. The world does not impose itself upon you. You project it moment by moment, thought by thought. So now I ask you, if reality is shaped by the mind, then what kind of world are you creating without even realizing it? And what would happen if you chose to dream a different dream, one where love, not fear, was the foundation of your perception? The final awakening, how seeing through the illusion frees you to truly live. So here we are, at the edge of the cliff, where philosophy meets experience, where ideas either remain as intellectual playthings or transform into living fire. Alan Watts didn't want us to simply understand that reality is a mind-created illusion. He wanted us to feel it, to wake up to it so deeply that our entire perception of life would be turned inside out. And once we do, something astonishing happens. We begin to live not as frightened individuals trying to control a chaotic universe, but as liberated expressions of the whole, dancing effortlessly with the flow of existence. When you truly see that the self is an illusion and the world is a projection, the need to grasp, to strive, to defend begins to dissolve. You no longer feel the urge to build a fortress around your identity because you realize there was never anything to protect. You no longer wage war against reality because you begin to see that it isn't against you, it is you. The separation between me and life evaporates, and what's left is pure presence, pure awareness, pure being. This is what Watts called the awakening. And it's not about escaping life, it's about finally entering it. It's about laughing at the cosmic joke that you spent years searching for something that was never missing. It's about realizing that the universe is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. You stop asking, "What should I do with my life?" and start wondering, what is life doing through me right now? The paradox is that when you stop clinging to control, you actually become more capable, more alive. You start to act with clarity, not out of fear. You make decisions from alignment, not anxiety. You love without needing to possess. You create art, relationships, and meaning not because you lack anything, but because you are overflowing with the joy of simply being. And here's the most beautiful part. You don't have to go anywhere to find this freedom. You don't need to meditate in a cave or read 1,000 books. You just have to notice. Notice the space between your thoughts. Notice the awareness that's always been watching, behind your eyes, beneath your labels. That silent presence is not a spectator. It is you, the real you, not the character, but the awareness playing the character, the dreamer within the dream. So let me leave you with this final question, one that Alan Watts would love to whisper into your mind. If you could awaken right now and realize that this entire life has been your own dream, would you keep dreaming the same way? Or would you finally begin to play? Because once you see through the illusion, once you realize the game, you don't have to escape life. You get to dance with it. And that changes everything.